Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, let's talk about making a Swedish Torch rocket stove. For this particular project, we're going to be using just a piece of dead wood, and it's about the length of my elbow to my wrist. So that's a pretty good form to follow. It is a rather old piece of wood, and it's totally dry for the most part. It's got a little bit of moisture, you can see here. But that doesn't hurt anything. That actually will help us a little bit in our stove burning. So what we're looking for is here where this end is. We can pick whichever end we want, but it's got some checking, some cracks already in here, and we're going to use those to our advantage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife, our Big Brother Bushcraft blade, and we're going to baton this. And this is one of those times when batoning actually works quite well. So we're going to pick one of these cracks, try to hit it right in the center, and we're going to split it in 4 ways. So using a baton, just a dead piece of hardwood, and our Big Brother Bushcraft blade, and we're going to put it on there. As you can see, it's much longer than my knife is, but that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take, and you know how batoning works, we're just going to baton this. Alright. Good progress. Turn around to this side. We'll finish the split. A little bit more. I'm going to go halfway on this and hit it right in here. You wouldn't have to use a piece of wood this big, but for the size of our stove and wood and everything involved, it works out a little better if it's pretty good size. Get rid of some of this dead wood. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is we want to split each one of these in half. So we're going to set this one down and do the exact same thing, and we're trying to make these fairly even all the way around. There we go. Very good. Now you want to be really careful and make sure that this all stays together so that it fits together right when we go to make our Swedish Torch rocket stove. So we'll set this one down. Again, we're trying to keep track of all of our ends. I'll do this and I'll get back with you. So now that we've got that all split in 4 ways, what we want to do is we want to take just a piece of charcoal here, charred wood, and we're going to mark this, and we're going to mark on the same side so we know that we're all on the top. We don't want to accidentally cut it from the wrong side. This is very important. The next thing we want to do, we've got all 4 of our sides marked so we know which one is the top. We're going to lay these down to the side, and then we're going to come up from the bottom. Oh, maybe just your second knuckles worth, about that much. And what we're going to do, we're going to take our blade, and again, this is an approximation. There's no exact science to this. And we're going to cut this way into the wood. And you want to make this a pretty good cut. So not completely through, but you want to make sure, as you can see, that it's pretty deep. All right. Once we get that done, we're going to select about where we think it is to the bottom, and we're going to use the blade across this way, and we're going to baton again. We'll get this split, and we'll get back with you. So we got that split, and we're going to keep this because this is really dry inner wood. Now what we have is this piece here, and you can see why it was hard to split. It had a couple of knots in it, so it's a little easier if your wood doesn't have any knots, but this one did, so we used it. Anyway, we're going to split the other 3 and get back with you. Now that we have them all split and cut with this bit of a platform here, we can reassemble it and put it together like this. And you can see we have this platform here at the bottom, and then we put it back together. What we have is essentially our log hollowed out with the bottom still intact. Alright, now we have to make our opening, our entrance for the rocket stove. And for this, I'm going to pick a side over here that is a little more firm. This side's kind of pithy and wet from where it was exposed to the rain. So we're going to pick this side here. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to take our piece of wood here, and we want to mark it in between. So on one of the cracks, that's where our cut's going to be. So we'll put it, again, we want to make sure that we're up a little bit from the very bottom where our cuts are. So we want a little bit of a hole down in there underneath. I'm going to start about here. Okay, that's good. Put these together. Just like that, so they fit together. So we want to make sure we get them the exact same distance. Cut the hole in the same spot. And then come up here, about that far. So maybe a full index finger worth or something close to that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the saw and we're going to cut right where we made our marks. And how we're doing it is we're going to cut here. We got to make sure that it actually exposes into the inner part of our inner wall. So we got to make sure we have a large enough opening. So basically we want to brace it. You can use one of your dry inner pieces that you cut out as a rest. And then we're just going to cut. Alright, so we've got those cut about the same, and as you can see it penetrates to the inner part of here. And then what we do is we're going to take a couple of these pieces of our inner that we cut out. We'll lay them like this, and we take the knife and we come in at this angle. Turn this sideways, maybe you can see it a little better. I'm going to come in right here, right where that is, between those two cuts. We're trying to break this out. We'll take our baton. Alright, and you may have to do this more than once and maybe even work your way across. I'll show you when I get it finished. Now that we have this cut out and this one, we put them together. And that, of course, is the entrance to our rocket stove. And we just simply reassemble our pieces. Okay? And this is what we have. You can see it's kind of a classic rocket stove design. Not a real big hole, but with the bottom in it. Alright. Now, the real secret to this, I'll lay these down, is in my kit, along with other things, we carry these nails with steel wire. And I got this from Lars, Survival Russia. And this is just a super great idea. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this steel wire to band these back together and hold them in place. And I would highly recommend getting some steel wire. This is just a olive drab color, but you can get whatever color you want. Before I put the wire on, there's one other step that I want to share with you. This top is flush, so if you would set a pan on here, there would be no room for the flames and heat to escape. And so you would run the risk of smothering your fire, of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to cut down two of these sides by just a bit, so as to lower them, so the pan can still sit on these two, but have openings here for the air to come through. So here's the finished product. Wired it here and here, just two places, and about 5 turns on each, and just twisted it together in the ends. You can see basic design of what it looks like. And the nice thing about this, and this is great for wet weather, is we have cut out and split out the inner core of this wood. So we have 4 really nice dry pieces that we can baton and split down as our fuel. So we'll do that, and we'll show you how to start the fire, show you how it works. We have the Swedish Torch rocket stove. We've got some wood split up, and as you can see, gather it here and show you, I've got a whole lot more wood. I mean, I only split a little bit. The nice thing about rocket stoves is they're very fuel efficient. You can use all kinds of stuff, leaves, twigs, pine cones, whatever you name it. But what's nice is we've got this dry inner core here. And if it's a little damp on the outside, that just slows the burn. So it makes it actually even more efficient. So to get this started, what I'm going to be using is a little bit of cotton ball with some petroleum jelly on it. And we just set it right here in the entrance like this. Next thing, getting into our little bag of tricks here, we're just going to get 3 small slivers of fat wood. Again, nothing real big, but just some smaller stuff that we previously have split. Get those ready, and we're ready to light. I'm going to try to do this from an angle. It's a little bit difficult, and we're kind of a little bit on a hillside here. But what we want to do is hold this down, and you can see my ferro rod's getting a little bit used up here. We're going to hold it down like this. Alright, there we go. And we get that going, we're going to push it inside here, and then we're going to lay our fat wood in it like this. Now it's very important that you feed it from this hole. I've found that if you try to feed them from the top too early, that it doesn't work so good. So once you get that going, we see our fire's going good in there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start stacking some of our smaller dry split wood inside like this, so that it can go ahead and start burning. And again, we're just using really small little slivers. So I went ahead and moved it over to this rock, and you can see the flames are now starting to come out, and got a little bit of moisture bubbling out here on the other side. You can hear it hissing, but it's starting to go pretty good. Of course, one nice thing about this is that it's a natural windscreen. Uses pretty much just one big stick, one piece of wood, and you know, it doesn't really cause a lot of damage or problem to the forest floor. Of course, I've got this one on a rock, so but anyway, it has a lot of advantages to it, and with the main advantage being that you've got a stove, you can cook on it, and it uses the dry inner wood as your fuel. So it's really a very efficient setup. So here we have our frying pan, and we've got an egg, and as you can see, it sits right on top, just like that. We'll go ahead and crack the egg. Put that in there. And see, start cooking. And our flame's able to come out, touch the bottom of the pan, which is exactly what we want. Give you a look down on the inside. You can see how well it's burning, and it will burn even hotter than that. We're just letting it take its time to catch. Got a good burn going on. See the flames licking up there at the bottom of the pan. And we got a nice sizzling egg here. Got plenty of flames and heat coming out of the top. It's a very efficient, very effective stove. And of course, once the outer part of this gets burning, you know, you get the wood actually burning. Of course, this will all burn up eventually. But that's actually why if you use something that's a little wet on the outside, it actually just makes it last a little bit longer. But we actually have ignition now of some of the inner wood. I'll show you what that looks like. So as you can see, we now have full flame all the way down inside. And all we have to do, of course, is keep pushing this in as it burns, adding new fuel. Well, our egg is just about fried. Fire's still doing real good. You hear it sizzling. And still have a huge amount of wood left that we could use inside of our stove from that dry inner bit there. A little bit more in. Alright, well, let's see how it tastes. Delicious. That's what it looked like. Real good. Still sizzling. Well, we finished our meal, our egg, and as you can see, it is doing quite well. And just like a rocket stove should. And that'll burn for quite a while. You probably can get a good half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on the diameter of the wood that you use. But once it gets going good, it's a really efficient stove. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure and check the links in the description box below, and don't forget to press the bell button to stay notified of all of our upcoming videos. We'll talk to you next time.